We head into our Xfinity Big Connections to wrap up show number one of season number two. And we're going to go back to the four schools that are joining the Big Ten this year, all on the West Coast: USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. They've been connected in a Pacific Conference together since 1928. And you look through kind of what the identity of each team is. USC, they've got 37 Pac-12 championships, 11 claimed national championships. Obviously, you mentioned Washington was in the national championship last year against Michigan. We know USC, it felt like, was starting to have a resurgence with Caleb Williams. Even just 2 years ago, they were on the cusp of getting into the college football playoff themselves. Oregon is right there right now, and UCLA could be building something really from the ground up as they enter the Big Ten now. But we know UCLA, they've got an iconic venue in the Rose Bowl. USC, an iconic venue in the Coliseum. Oregon and Washington, I haven't been to either one. I know that we're
awesome
in all
places.
Likelihood. That's what I hear. We're going to go there
They're
this
awesome.
year. And I can't wait. I can't wait to experience what it means to be in that Pacific Northwest college football world, because I've heard nothing but incredible, incredible things.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, Noah, the thing that, I've been doing this a long time, and I know I've told you this, the college football, the landscape, everything about it has changed more in the last 2 or 3 years than the previous 30 years that I was involved working in college football. And this year coming up, we may never see another season as unique as this one, because every conference is different. I mean, there used to be Power Five. Now there's only four, right? There is no more Pac-12. And each one of those four, not just our conference of the Big Ten with the four new teams, they all have new teams, right? The Big 12 added the other teams from the Pac-12 that didn't want to stay. The SEC added Oklahoma and Texas. The ACC added Cal and Stanford and SMU, right? So, I mean, it is the most unusual first year for all these conferences. This is the only year that they'll all be this new. So I think it's going to be really unique to watch this season and some of these new matchups and new games that are going to be quote unquote conference games now.
We saw with Wisconsin last year, as they essentially prepared, they changed their style, or tried to at least get ahead of the curve a little bit and incorporate the spread offense a little bit more. It's a Wisconsin team that, when people think about Wisconsin football, you think about ground and pound defense and running the football. So to see that across the entire now landscape of college football, where programs are going to have to tinker a little bit from what their tradition looks like.
Yeah.
A USC is going to have to really start playing some elite defense if they're going to want to compete in this conference. And the same goes for UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. But it's just an example. So I am excited to see what it looks like overall. And I think we're going to have a great season ahead, Todd.
I think so too. And the other thing that'll be different, in addition to these new teams coming in, you think of, okay, well, if you're Rutgers and you have to go to the West Coast, or if you're Penn State going to play USC, that's such a long trip and getting acclimated and all that. And that's true, right? But you think about some of those West Coast teams coming east in November to play. I mean, you're playing in Madison, Wisconsin in November. You better be able to run the football. You better be able to play some defense, because you never know what the wind's going to be like or the weather's going to be like, whether you can throw the ball the way you normally do. So that'll all be interesting to see. And then the other thing that's new this year for the first time is, as part of that college football expanded playoff, is those first round of playoff games are going to be held on campus sites, which I think is fantastic. I think that if you've played your way into a playoff spot and you're not one of those top four that gets the bye, and you deserve to host a game in December, I think that's going to be great. We could see a Michigan hosting a playoff game in Ann Arbor. We could see a Penn State hosting a playoff game in State College in December. I think that's going to be really cool to see.